100 mil in 1 hour. That's the dream, right? But of course, that's not reasonable. So instead, we would most likely look at something a bit more realistic, like 50 mil per hour when we're looking to make money. But even at 50 mil an hour, the amount of effort required to hit that is insane. Whether it's mining or Kudra, almost all of these methods require you to at least spend a crap ton of time grinding before you get the good profit, or an extremely expensive setup. But what if I told you there was another way? A method so good that it makes even more than 50 mil an hour with almost no requirements. Well, then today's your lucky day, cause while that method does exist, and I'll let you know what it is today, the real reason I made this video was cause I found a method with 0 requirements that makes 100 million coins per hour. And not some technical BS where I do it for 1 minute and extrapolate it to an hour. I mean, I grind this for 1 hour straight and make 100 million coins in profit. But before I tell you, let me show you how we got here. Wait, before you skip this part of the video, I have a very good proposition for you. For every single person that uses code MASH on the Hypixel store, I'm going to be grinding 100,000 foraging XP. So if 6 people do it, then I have to do 600k. 10, 1 million. 100, I have to do 10 million XP. And if you're thinking, oh, that's not that bad, everyone needs to get foraging 50 eventually. But sorry to break it to you, I've had foraging 50 for over 3 years now. And with the foraging update hopefully coming out soon, that means all my work will go to waste. So if you want to torture me, use code MASH. It all started a few months ago when I started playing Skyblock again. Contrary to my amazing upload schedule, I actually don't play Skyblock that much. Whether it be because of school or burnout, it doesn't really matter, but what does matter is that I started playing again in the summer. And when I started playing again, I needed money. Why? Cause my dumbass didn't care about money and decided it was a good idea to give 1 bill to a complete noob for a video. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a card so you can check it out later. Anyways, since I haven't played in a while, my first idea was to just go back to the basics. So I started grinding zealots. With the hype, max zeal luck, and a legendary enderman pet, it's actually not as bad as you might think. I was consistently making around 25 million coins per hour. That was good and all, but I know it could have been way better. My friend Veggie, who also started playing again, was already making the same for mining without even having a max setup. For most people, this would be the point where they start grinding mining, but I'm not most people. I am not grinding that powder shit for like 50 hours. So instead, I dedicated my time to find any other method that I could use instead. First method I tried was some basic bazaar flipping, but with a twist. After reworking some code I found on GitHub, I was able to run a Discord bot to notify me of any bin flips on the AH that I could quickly snipe while bazaar flipping. This mixed method of Bazaar and AH flipping actually worked quite well and was making me around 20 mil to 25 million coins per hour. If you want to use the Discord bot, I'll put a link in the description so you can try it out yourself. However, as I said earlier, zealot grinding was already making me the same amount and required much less brain power. Of course, it's still a great method if you have nothing better, but for me, I had to find something else. The next thing I tried was skate the farming. And I can't lie, I could have ended the video right now because skate the farming is crazy profitable. Mostly because I have a max G-Drag, a max Sorrow set, and a Chimera 4 Daedalus axe. But even with that setup, statistically I only make around 35 million coins per hour while solo grinding. However, since I usually duo grind skatas with my friend Veggie, the profitability is closer to around 50 million per hour. Even though skate the farming was good and all, it was still heavily reliant on RNG, so it was technically possible for me to just get unlucky and have dry spells without much profit. So I decided it was back to the drawing board, but I couldn't think of anything. I was looking around online, the forums, Reddit, YouTube for any obscure method that still worked, but nothing. That was until Veggie told me about a method he saw on YouTube. It was something like that's video about Draconic altars sacrificing. But my initial reaction was just pure disappointment. I already saw this video and it had 600,000 views. There's no way it would still work, right? Well, that's what I assumed until Veggie sent me this Discord message. It was a spreadsheet he made that calculated how many coins per hour you would get from sacrificing. When I opened it, I couldn't believe the numbers. So I double checked everything, wrote a script to fetch prices using the Hypixel API, and looked at how the probabilities were calculated. Yet still, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. So as a last resort to stop myself from going through with it, I wrote a simulation in Python to simulate how much profit we'd make sacrificing. And after running hundreds of simulations, I still finally came to the conclusion that Draconic sacrificing would make me 60 million coins per hour. All that was left to do was try it for ourselves. Our method for buying frags was quite simple. Using our spreadsheet, we would calculate the 2 most profitable frags for sacrificing. Then each of us would put orders on only one of each frag type before we went to bed. The reason we chose one was so that we didn't accidentally undercut each other. With half decent luck, we would wake up to thousands of frags in our orders. All that's left to do then is to just craft them into boots and sacrifice them. On our first run, we spent a total of 300 million coins on frags, 92 mil on young, 18 mil on unstable, and 190 mil on holy. It took us around 40 minutes to sacrifice all the boots. The reason we could do it so fast is due to a bug with the altar where when anybody's sacrifice ends, a new one can be started. So if done correctly, you can reduce the delay from 5 seconds to 2.5 seconds and even all the way to 0 seconds. After everything was sold, we were left with 406 million coins. Subtracting our starting amount, that leaves us with 53 mil per player in 40 minutes. Of course, that's really good. And again, I could have ended the video here, but I didn't. I just needed something a little more consistent and a little bit more profitable. And also cause then I'd basically be stealing something like that's video. So I had to find something different. Finally, after a few days, the answer came to me. It was right in front of me the entire time. I just had to change my perspective. Earlier, you might have remembered when I mentioned making 20 to 25 mil from bazaar flipping, right? Well, that was only partially true. That's how much I made with 0 prep and without craft flipping. If instead we're only taking into consideration how much time I'm actively flipping, then I actually make, no joke, 100 million coins per hour. How is that? First reason is because I'm craft flipping. Craft flipping is when you make buy orders for the materials to craft a certain item and then sell that item back to the bazaar for a small profit. While normal flipping is effective, the most profitable items to normal flip usually have a lot of competition. This means you have to be actively playing to make the most profit. On the other hand, craft flipping items are usually the opposite. Since the materials used to craft these items usually have a large supply and low margins, they tend to not have much competition. This means you can make an order, leave it up for hours, and likely come back to it being filled. If you did this with an item from normal flipping, it would usually just get undercut and you would get nothing in your order. Because of this, with just a little bit of prep, we can drastically decrease how much time needed to actively flip by just allowing our orders to fill up when we aren't playing. Compared to normal flipping, where a large chunk of your time is spent waiting for orders to be filled, this makes a huge difference. While understanding that you can set up orders overnight and craft flip the orders all at once later will make you a lot of money, you're still limited by how fast you can craft. This is where the thumbnail of this video comes into play. Using NEU to create a shortcut to the crafting menu and a specific inventory setup, I was able to drastically speed up my crafting speed. So much so that with enough filled orders, I was able to make 100 million coins in profit in just an hour of crafting. But let me stop talking about it and actually show you how. Okay, so now let me show you how it's done. Before we actually go and craft the item, we actually have to decide which item we want to flip. The way I like to do it is using this website. On skyblock.bz/crafts, you'll be able to find this website that basically tells you what the best items to craft are. There's plenty of good items here, but what I've found with my method is that the best items to craft are usually items that are a Slayer drop. So in most cases, there's only about 4 items you would do, which is Tarantula Silk, Null Ovoid, Revenant Viscera, and sometimes Golden Teeth. As you can see right now, they're all pretty high on the list because this is sorted by coins per hour, which is usually the best sorting key. And you can see Tarantula Silk is 3rd, Null Ovoid is around 5th, and these other ones are lower. But this doesn't necessarily mean that Tarantula Silk is the best. One thing I learned after grinding this for a while is that some prices fluctuate a lot more. So for example, Tarantula Silk, which is really high right now, is not always the best, and sometimes it can drop really low. So if you accidentally buy it for a price that's a little bit higher than normal in terms of the actual craft materials, then if you don't sell it at that higher price, you're not going to make as much profit as something a little bit more consistent like Null Ovoid or Golden Teeth. To help me figure out which are the best though, I decided to make a quick web app. Okay, so if you go to this web app here that I made, which is really simple, basically took like 5 minutes, all we have to do is click fetch recipe and it will fetch us the recipe and all the stats for it for Tarantula Silk. So let's just disable the sell because we don't need it, and then we can use this to look at the margins and to compare that to the actual prices of the item. So this line shows the material price, so this is how much it would be to craft, and this is how much it would sell for. So it looks like here when it was 36k, the reason was because there was a huge increase in the buy price. So this really helps us know how much the material price fluctuates, and kind of tells you when it's a good time to buy. Because for example, if the price is all the way up here, but the margin at like 246k, but the margin is still pretty decent, then it's very likely that this price is inflated and it's going to drop down and you're going to not make that much profit. But if the price of the materials is down here, but the margin is lower, then it means that both of these prices have just dropped, and that if you wait a bit, the price is going to go up high and you're going to make a lot more profit than the website is stating. Another thing you can see with this website is which items are more consistent. So here we can see the one that we have for Tarantula Silk as before. But if I replace this with Golden Tooth and click fetch the recipe, you can see that these values are way more consistent. And this is why I say that it's much better to do something like Golden Tooth if you're doing it overnight, because most likely the price isn't going to change compared to something like the Tarantula Silk, which had huge changes in price all the time. Another way you can tell if an item is worth investing is to just find one of them that you want to invest in with a good margin and then click into it. That will let you look at all the stats for that item, and it will tell you the proximity to the average price. If the item is very close to the average price, then most likely it's probably worth investing in. Because the price is generally close to what it usually is and there's still a good margin, it means that the item and material value is probably also at a pretty consistent rate. But it's not foolproof, which is why I made this app that is a lot more foolproof and gives you a lot more data. So I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to try it out for yourself. Anyways, now that we chose our item, there's not much left for us to do. Okay, so all you need to do now is just go and buy your resources. So I've already bought them, but if you're doing something like Tarantula Silk like me, you're going to need 4 Tarantula Web for every 1 enchanted flint. If this was something else like, I don't know, Revenant Viscera, you would need 4 enchanted string. 4 Revenant Flesh for every 1 enchanted string, and then so on and so forth. So when I make my orders, I like to make it like that. So if I'm buying 70k enchanted flint, then I'd buy 70k Tarantula Web 4 times. Sometimes it doesn't fill, which is annoying, but that's like the main process that you should be using. Then once your orders are filled, or at least like pretty majorly filled like mine are right here, what you want to do is go and do /NEU, which will let you open up your NEU settings. Then all you have to go here is GUI locations, go under inventory, and then go into the button editor. In the button editor, you can add buttons literally wherever you want, but I like to put mine here because I just think it's the easiest one for me to hit. But if you want to put it somewhere else, that works too. And all you have to do is to go to the command section, which I already have here, but it will be empty, and you just type in /craft, and then you can pick whatever icon you want. I like to pick the crafting table, and it's not going to give you any like feedback, but it's chosen. And then when you exit out, you'll be able to have this button, which will bring you instantly to the crafting menu like that. So you don't have to go through your Skyblock menu and whatever, which takes a little bit more time. Now to craft it is pretty simple. All you have to do is find the smaller item. So here it's enchanted flint, and then search it up. So once I find enchanted flint, I'll go here and I'll just buy 8 pieces. So you could just insta-buy a stack if you want, but you only need 8 to do this strat. So once you buy 8 of these, all you want to do is fill your hotbar with them. And then in this order, you want to do all tarantula web or all of your main bulk item. And then immediately after, you hit it with the flint, and that will fill your inventory. Now, instead of going and exiting this menu and hitting Skyblock menu, you want to hit the craft button instantly, and that's going to bring you straight to the craft. Then you can't shift click because you have no space, so you have to press it once, and then now that there's space, you can shift click and it will go straight into your inventory. Oh, and all that footage you saw of me crafting golden teeth in the background when I was talking about everything, that was when I was doing a 1-hour test. So let's go ahead and see how much I made from that. Okay, so now I'm back, and all I have to do to see how much profit we made is just claim all of these. So if I claim this, and then I have 50 left here, we should see the amount of profit. So I started with 800 mil, and now I have 890 mil. So I made that plus how much this is worth. So 4.6 mil. So that is around 95 mil in a single hour of grinding.